April 9, 1945. They were told Americans would starve them, strip them of dignity, break them. The village of Kronach sits silent in the Bavarian hills. Smoke rises from chimneys that burned furniture 3 days ago. There is no coal left, no wood, no food. Frau Ingrid Müller stands at her kitchen window watching the road. Her daughter Anna, 9 years old, hollow-cheeked, sits on the stone steps counting pebbles because there is nothing else to do. The sound of engines echoes through the valley. American engines. Ingrid's breath catches. This is the moment. The moment the propaganda promised would be their end. But when the jeep stops in the village square, a lieutenant steps out, speaking broken German words they can understand despite his American accent. He says they will not be harmed, and in his pocket, something no one expected. Chocolate. Before this warm bar touches their frozen hands, take a second to subscribe. This channel keeps their stories alive. The wind cuts across open fields. Engines rumble in the distance. Somewhere, a child breathes shallowly. Kronach is a village of 347 souls. The men are gone drafted, captured, dead in Russia or France. What remains are women, children, and the elderly, and hunger, the kind that makes time move differently. Ingrid stands at her kitchen window, 38 years old but looking 50. Her hands are cracked from washing laundry in frigid water without soap. She has lost 23 pounds since Christmas. The cupboards behind her are empty except for one jar, containing 2 cups of flour mixed with sawdust. On the stove sits a pot of water. Just water. Later, if she's lucky, she'll boil potato peels in it. Outside, Anna counts pebbles. 1, 2, 3, 4. The girl has learned not to complain about hunger. Complaining makes her mother cry. The sound reaches them before Anna understands what it is. Engines. Deep and powerful. Not the sputtering German vehicles, running on wood gas. These engines sound healthy. Anna's hand freezes. She looks up. Her mother's voice is sharp. Inside, now. The girl obeys. Ingrid locks the door pointless, but she locks it anyway. 3 vehicles roll into the village square. 2 jeeps, 1 truck. The vehicles are clean, well maintained. Maybe 20 soldiers dismount, wearing uniforms that look new. The villagers emerge slowly, Frau Bauer clutching her crucifix, Frau Koch with skeletal children behind her skirt, old Herr Zimmermann leaning on his cane. They gather in the square, waiting, terrified. An American officer steps forward, tall, dark hair under his helmet, lieutenant's bars catching weak April sunlight. He surveys the villagers, then speaks. In German, accented but understandable. "We are not here to harm you." Frau Bauer begins to cry. His name is Lieutenant Daniel Hartmann, 27 years old, born in Cincinnati, Ohio, son of German immigrants who fled in 1923. His father Klaus had been a schoolteacher in Würzburg, watched the Weimar Republic collapse, watched hyperinflation destroy savings, watched brown shirts march. In 1923, Klaus packed 2 suitcases, took his pregnant wife Maria, and bought passage to America. Daniel grew up between worlds, German at home, English at school. His grandmother lived with them until 1937. She told stories about village life in Bavaria, about harvest festivals and Christmas markets, about the Germany before the madness. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, Daniel enlisted, not out of hatred for Germany, out of hatred for what Germany had become. He fought through Normandy, across France, into Belgium, during the Bulge, now into Germany itself. Standing in this village square, he sees his grandmother's Germany, the one that existed before. Behind him, Sergeant Bill Cooper shifts. Cooper is from Texas. Lost half his squad in the Hurtgen forest. His sympathy for Germans is limited. "Sir, orders are to secure the village and move on. Major Reynolds wants us back by 1600 hours. I know the orders, Sergeant." Daniel steps forward. Several people flinch. He raises his hands. Empty. Palms forward. "My name is Lieutenant Hartmann. We are with the United States Third Army. The war is almost over. We need to search for weapons. If you cooperate, no one will be harmed. An old woman speaks. Her voice trembles. What will you do with us? Daniel looks at her. She reminds him of his grandmother. Nothing. You will stay in your homes. You will be safe. A boy asks the question. Maybe 10 years old, wearing a jacket 3 sizes too large, face all angles and hunger. Will you feed us? Daniel's throat tightens. Around him, his men watch, waiting. Yes, he says simply. The word is a promise he's not sure he can keep. The Americans move through the village methodically, house to house, looking for weapons, for hidden soldiers. They find nothing, just empty cupboards and bare shelves, furniture burned for warmth, photographs of men in Wehrmacht uniforms who will never return. Daniel enters Ingrid Mueller's home with Sergeant Cooper and Private Jenkins. The house is narrow, stone construction, maybe 200 years old. But inside, it's been stripped by necessity. Most furniture is gone, the walls bare except for water stains. Ingrid stands in her kitchen, hands folded, trying not to show terror. Anna hides behind her mother's skirt, dark eyes too old for 9 years. We need to search your home, Daniel says in German, his voice gentle. It will only take a few minutes. Ingrid nods, barely audible. Yes, of course. The soldiers search carefully. Private Jenkins finds a Wehrmacht uniform in a trunk. Gray-green wool, infantry insignia, sergeant's rank, well-worn and patched. Daniel examines it. Regular army, no SS markings. Your husband? He asks in German. Yes. The word is barely a breath. Where is he? Ingrid's throat works. I don't know. He was sent to the Eastern Front in '43. I received 1 letter, then nothing. 2 years of silence. Daniel folds the uniform carefully, sets it back in the trunk. Keep it. It's not contraband. Ingrid's eyes widen. She expected them to take it, burn it. As they prepare to leave, Daniel pauses. He cannot ignore what he sees. The cupboard door hanging open, revealing empty shelves, the pot of water, the jar of flour mixed with sawdust, and Anna. Thin arms like bird bones, hollow cheeks, the kind of malnutrition that will stunt her growth forever. When did you last eat? He asks quietly in German. Ingrid hesitates. Pride wars with honesty. Yesterday, we had soup, water with potato peels. Daniel looks at Anna. The girl stares at him with enormous eyes. She has learned not to ask for things. He reaches into his coat pocket, his fingers close around something he's been carrying for 3 days, a Hershey's chocolate bar. He holds it out to Anna. The girl doesn't move, just stares at the brown wrapper. She looks up at her mother, silently asking permission. Ingrid is frozen. Multiple emotions war across her face. Please, Daniel says in German. Take it. For the child. Anna steps forward slowly. Her small hand reaches out, fingers close around it. It's real. Solid. Heavy. Daniel smiles. A small, sad smile. There will be more, he says in German. I promise. That evening, Daniel returns to the temporary command post in a barn 2 kilometers outside Kronach. Major Thomas Reynolds is reviewing maps by lamplight. 42 years old, career army. Fought in North Africa, Sicily, Normandy. He's good at his job. But 3 years of combat have eroded his capacity for sympathy. Reynolds doesn't look up when Daniel enters. Village secured, sir. No weapons, no hidden soldiers, just civilians. 347 on the last census. Good. We move at 0600 hours tomorrow. Sir, the civilians are starving. Reynolds looks up. His eyes are tired. Ancient. Not our problem, Lieutenant. Sir, they have no food. The children have severe malnutrition. Without intervention, some will die. Reynolds sets down his pencil. Lieutenant, these people supported Hitler. They cheered when France fell. While our boys were dying on Omaha Beach, these people were celebrating. Sir, their children and Their fathers were shooting at us 6 months ago. Reynolds's voice rises. German soldiers killed 3 of my men last week. And you want me to give German civilians our food? Sir, those children didn't start this war. They are the enemy's children. They are children. Long silence, just whined through barn walls. Reynolds sits back down, suddenly looking older than 42. Lieutenant, we have a war to finish. I don't have supplies to spare for enemy civilians. We need every ration for our men. Sir, we have K rations in reserve. We have enough, Lieutenant. The words cut like a blade. The village is secured. Tomorrow we move on. Dismissed. Daniel salutes. Turns to leave. Lieutenant. He stops. Reynolds's voice is different now. Quieter. I know what you're feeling. But those people you feel sorry for, their countrymen killed your friends. Don't forget that. I won't forget, sir. Daniel steps into the cool evening, stars visible overhead. He stands there thinking about Anna's hollow cheeks, about the pot of water, about the promise he made, a promise he has no authorization to keep. He goes to find Sergeant Cooper and Private Jenkins. 0200 hours. The camp is quiet, men sleeping, guards on rotation. 3 figures move through darkness toward the supply depot. 1 guard is on duty, Private Morrison from Iowa, 19 years old, fighting sleep. Lieutenant Hartmann appears. At ease, Private, just checking inventory. Morrison relaxes. Yes, sir. Daniel, Cooper, and Jenkins work quickly, quietly. 20 K ration boxes. Each contains 3 meals, 10 additional Hershey bars, 6 cans of Spam, 4 loaves of bread from the field kitchen, 2 bags of coffee, 1 carton of Lucky Strikes, 3 bars of soap, basic medical supplies. Not enough to feed 347 people, but something. They load everything into a jeep, cover it with canvas. Cooper drives with no headlights, just moonlight. He memorized the road, drives by memory. The village is silent when they arrive. Curfew. Anyone outside after dark risks being shot. They begin their work. House to house. Quiet knocking. Frau Muller's house. Daniel climbs the stairs. Knocks softly. 3 taps. Footsteps inside. Hesitant. Fearful. The door opens. Ingrid peers out. Shock registers on her face. Lieutenant? Daniel holds up a K-ration box and bread. Real bread. Still soft. He speaks in German. I said there would be more. She stares. Her hands shake as she takes it. Not from cold. From disbelief. Why? She whispers in German. Daniel meets her eyes. Because someone has to remember we're human, he says in German. By dawn, everyone knows. The American lieutenant came back. In darkness. With food. The villagers don't understand. It contradicts everything they were told. Over 3 nights, Daniel makes 3 more trips, each time with Cooper and Jenkins. Each time with whatever they can scrape together. They bring more K rations, more chocolate, coffee, cigarettes, medical supplies. One night they bring cans of peaches. The villagers haven't seen fruit in 2 years. The children begin to change. They smile more, play more. The youngest start to laugh again. Anna no longer hides when she sees Americans. She runs to greet Daniel, shows him her drawings, teaches him a German nursery rhyme about a wandering bird. He teaches her English in return. Thank you, he repeats slowly. Thank you, she tries. Thank you, Lieutenant. The old men start emerging when they hear his jeep. They want to talk. About the wars. About sons who won't return. Herr Zimmermann stops Daniel one afternoon, his weathered face serious. My son died at Stalingrad, he says in German, his voice rough. He was 23. They conscripted him in 41. He wrote letters for a year. Then nothing. Zimmermann's eyes are wet. I hated you, all of you, you Americans, for winning, for making everything we sacrificed meaningless. He looks directly at Daniel. But you? You're different. You remember we're people. Thank you for that. Daniel just nods. places his hand briefly on the old man's shoulder. April 15, 1945. Major Reynolds discovers what Daniel has been doing. The supply sergeant reports discrepancies. K rations, short by 30 boxes over 12 days, chocolate down 14 bars. The pattern is too consistent to be random. Reynolds investigates, checks guard logs, assigns someone to follow Daniel's jeep. The scout returns and reports, Kronach. They're distributing supplies to German civilians. Reynolds summons Daniel. You've been giving our supplies to German civilians. Yes, sir. That's theft, Lieutenant. I could have you court-martialed. Sent to prison. Yes, sir. I understand. Reynolds paces, anger and confusion warring on his face. We're at war with these people. No, sir. We were at war with their government. These are civilians who had no say. They supported that government. Did they? Or did they just try to survive? Silence. Daniel continues quietly. Sir, I grew up listening to my grandmother's stories about Germany after the last war, about starvation, about humiliation, about how Hitler rose to power because people were desperate and angry. Reynolds is listening now. If we want Germany to rebuild as something better, we can't start by starving them. We have to show them there's another way. Long silence. Reynolds sits down heavily, makes a decision. Fine. Keep doing what you're doing, but do it officially. I'll authorize limited supply distribution to civilian populations. Documented. By the book. Daniel's eyes widen. Sir? You heard me. I'll clear it with regiment, hearts and minds, operation. He looks up at Daniel. But this comes out of your personal allotment too, and Cooper's, and Jenkins's. You want to feed Germans? You eat less. Understood? Understood, sir. Thank you. Don't thank me. Reynolds' voice is hard. Just don't make me regret this. May 8, 1945. Victory in Europe Day. Germany surrenders. Hitler is dead. The war is over. Daniel's unit receives new orders. They'll remain on occupation duty but reassigned to a larger town 30 kilometers west, leaving Kronach. Daniel goes to say goodbye. It's a warm May morning. Spring arrived. Trees in leaf. Flowers blooming. The villagers gather when they hear he's leaving. Ingrid is there, Anna holding her hand. The girl has gained weight, color in her cheeks. They bring gifts, small things. A hand-carved wooden cross from Herr Zimmermann. A drawing from Anna, a jeep, an American flag, a soldier handing chocolate to a girl with dark braids, a jar of preserves from Frau Bauer, a book of German poetry from Frau Koch. Daniel accepts each gift. His eyes are wet. Anna approaches last. Shy, suddenly, she holds out her drawing. For you, Lieutenant Hartmann, she says in German. Daniel kneels, eye level with her, takes the drawing with both hands. Thank you, Anna. I will always keep it, he says in German. Will you come back? She asks in German. I don't know, he says honestly in German, but I will never forget you. She throws her arms around his neck, hugs him fiercely. Over her shoulder, Daniel sees Ingrid crying. Not sad tears, something more complex. Gratitude and grief mixed. Daniel stands, places his hand over his heart, a gesture of respect. Thank you, he says in German, for everything. Then he climbs into his jeep. As they pull away, the villagers wave. Children run after the jeep before stopping, breathless. Daniel looks back, watches the village recede. He wonders if he made any real difference, if chocolate bars matter in the sweep of history. He doesn't know, but he knows he tried. 23 years later, Cincinnati, Ohio, 1968. Daniel Hartmann sits at his kitchen table opening morning mail. 50 years old now, civil engineer, married to Rebecca, 3 children. The war is distant, something he doesn't talk about much. Among the bills is an envelope, blue airmail paper, German postage, postmarked Stuttgart. He opens it carefully. The handwriting is neat, feminine, written in English. Dear Lieutenant Hartmann, I do not know if this letter will reach you. My name is Anna Müller-Schneider. Perhaps you do not remember me. I was 9 years old when you came to Kronach in April of '45. I remember being terrified. We were told Americans would destroy us. Instead, you gave me chocolate. You saved my life. Not just by giving me food. You saved my life by showing me that the world could still be kind. I am a teacher now. I teach history at a school in Stuttgart. I have 2 children, a daughter who is 7, a son who is 5. They have never known hunger, never known war, because of choices people like you made. I teach my students about the war, about how ordinary people can commit extraordinary evil when they dehumanize others. But I also teach them about how one person choosing kindness can change everything. I still have the chocolate wrapper you gave me. It sits in a frame on my desk. My students ask about it, and I tell them your story. Thank you for seeing a frightened child instead of a German. Thank you for choosing compassion. I hope you have had a good life. You deserve one. With eternal gratitude, Anna Müller-Schneider. Daniel reads the letter 3 times. His vision blurs. Rebecca finds him sitting there with tears on his cheeks. What is it? He hands her the letter. She reads it. By the end, she's crying too. You never told me, she says quietly. It didn't seem important. Daniel, you saved lives. I gave them chocolate, some bread. You gave them hope. That's everything. That evening, Daniel writes back. Dear Anna, your letter reached me. I remember you. I remember your mother. I remember Kronach. I have thought about that village many times, wondered if we made any difference, wondered if chocolate bars mattered. Your letter answers that question. Yes, it mattered. I am glad you became a teacher, that you have children who will never know hunger, that you survived. You gave me something too. You reminded me that there are decent people everywhere, that nationality doesn't determine character, that humanity survives if we choose to preserve it. Thank you for remembering. Thank you for teaching your students to see people instead of categories. The world needs more teachers like you. With deep respect, Daniel Hartmann. The war ended in gunfire and surrender, but in Kronach, it ended with chocolate and a lieutenant who chose mercy. Daniel Hartmann returned to America, lived quietly until his death in 1998 at age 80. He never sought recognition, never told his story publicly. But Anna remembered. She taught her students, wrote books about seeing humanity in the enemy. Her students remembered. They became teachers, taught their students. The story echoed forward through generations. Today, a bronze plaque stands in Kronach's village square. What followed was not conquest, but compassion. And sometimes on May 8th, or on random afternoons, when American tourists pass through, someone will stop, read the inscription, ask what it means. And if Anna Schneider happens to be visiting from Stuttgart, she will tell them about a lieutenant who brought chocolate, about children who learned to trust again, about a village that survived not just the war, but the peace. Because peace is harder than war sometimes. Peace requires seeing your enemy as human. And on April 9th, 1945, a 27-year-old lieutenant from Cincinnati made that choice. He brought chocolate, not orders. And everything changed. The battlefield is quiet now, but echoes remain, echoes of hunger overcome, fear transformed into hope, hatred met with kindness. You heard them today, and now you remember. If this story moved you, subscribing helps more stories like it reach those who need to remember.